Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Phil Gerbishek again, coming to you today with the author of Platinum Presentations, my brother from another mother, Delatorro McNeal, the second Master Science Certified Speaking Professional. Now, this guy is freaking bananas. This book is all of his secrets, and there are at least 52 of them. He's got a lot more, but get this, okay? He taught public speaking at the university level. Holy crap. International Peak Performance Expert, CSP top 12% of speakers globally. Repeat MDRT, $1 Million Roundtable, baby. Main platform keynote speaker, the 2017 opening keynote speaker for Toastmasters World Convention. And get this, over 4,000 paid presentations globally. Del lives here in Tampa. No, he doesn't. Maybe he does. We'll see. What's up, Del? It's great to see you, brother.
Phil Gerbishek, love you, my friend. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Hey, I'm so glad you're here. So I always forget, man, because, so full disclosure here, I met Del 3 years ago, right before I moved to Tampa. We were both speaking at NSA, Ohio, and I get this text that, hey, man, are you here? I'm like, who is this? 813 phone number. Hey, oh, yeah, who's this? I'm like, hey, Delatorro, I'm the other speaker. I'm like, cool, man, let's get together. So Del and I go to the mall and go shopping.
Walk to the mall.
Walk to the mall. Yep, we walked 3 miles to the mall. That uphills both ways. And we went shopping for clothes and for luggage. And clearly, we're connected, man. So I'm disappointed, though, Del. Your shirt's not as bright as mine today. What's up?
Well, Phil, you've always been a better dresser than me, so I always let you run with that, brother. I mean, from the pink toenails to the orange glasses, brother, you rock the fashion thing way better than I do. So I'm humbled to be in your fashion presence.
Oh, whatever, man. You always got the 3-piece suit, though, man. You've got it going on, Del. You just have a different style than me, man.
Hey, man, you know what? But a good buddy of mine named Phil Gerbishek told me, he said, Del, you don't always have to be in a 3-piece suit. So I made sure for this interview that I brought it down a little bit, so that way I could just kind of chill and relax and teach people how to present at the next level, brother.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that, Del. So you're a real dude, man. And I mean, by that I mean, what you see is what you get with Del. So much freaking energy, man. I love that. I like to think I've got some energy, but you've got like energy times 10 for me, man. So what do you do, man? Is it moisturizer, or how do you get so much energy, Delatorro?
You know what? That's a phenomenal question, Phil. And I get that question all the time. I don't drink coffee, but I spell energy differently than the way most people do. I spell energy INNER-G. And I really think the secret to my passion for life and passion for this business and passion on the stage is inner gratitude, bro. I'm very grateful every day that I get a chance to do what I do. I personally believe, Phil, that we happen to be in the coolest freaking profession on the planet. I think there's no better profession to be in than getting a chance to be a speaker, an influencer, a thought leader, an overcomer, someone who's overcome some of life's greatest challenges and has lived through enough to share their message and share their story with other people, man. And one of the things that I think connected us so deeply, so fast, brother, is when we sat down and had lunch after we made that trip to the mall, and you introduced me to Briggs and Riley furniture, which Briggs and Riley luggage, which I'm so grateful for, still have to this day. And we found out that, bro, we had overcome a lot of the same interpersonal challenges to be who we are. And so that bonded me to you forever. And so when you came to Tampa, bro, I opened my whole Rolodex to you, and I wanted you to be so successful. And just to brag on you for a quick second, I remember telling you about NSA, Central Florida chapter, and I remember telling you about TBBO. And now, dude, you're freaking getting ready to become the president in 2 years of the daggum chapter, man. And you're just, so I'm very proud of your evolution since you've been here in Tampa, how you've built your brand, how you've built your presence, and how you're impacting the world, man. So my energy, bro, comes from being grateful for friends like you, being grateful for colleagues like you, being grateful for the National Speakers Association, being grateful that we get a chance to go into a room full of strangers and in an hour replace negative voices that they've had in their head for years, bro. And so I think the privilege of the platform is something that we should never take for granted. And the privilege of life is something we should never take for granted. So I just try to live life from a grateful place every day, brother.
Awesome. I love that. The energy, baby. That's really good, Del. I knew you had something going on there. So the inner gratitude makes some sense. Yeah, you don't drink coffee, man. That's too bad. I drink it. It doesn't affect me. I drink it because I'm one of those weirdos that actually likes the taste. So
You know what? I'll have coffee on occasion, but every time I'm on Southwest, dude, I ask for hot chocolate.
Look at you.
Real talk, dude. I'm a hot chocolate dude till I die, man.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. I know what to get you for Christmas this year. That's good.
There you go.
That's
there
good.
you go.
So, because it gets really cold here in Tampa for those
Yeah,
of
it
you
does.
that are
Freezing,
watching
man.
at home.
Freezing.
And we might hit 80 degrees. So it's
Well,
rough.
out there in Dallas, Fort Worth, brother, it's freezing, man. In the winter, brother, it gets crazy cold out there.
It does snow. Yeah, I've been in Dallas when it snowed, Del.
Dude, hail, bro, hail. I mean, why didn't you tell me that I was going to experience golf ball size hail when I was out there, man? It's crazy.
You wouldn't have listened to me anyway. You had your heart set on Dallas, brother. You had your heart set on Dallas, man. So that's all right. So, but I love Tampa now. It's my home, and I'm glad that you share it with me, man, because it's great absolutely. Here. So much here. So Del, how did you get started speaking, man? You got to talk to us about this, because a lot of people, if they want to speak, they're like, okay, so where do I begin? And as much as we'd love to begin here, we got to begin right where we are. So how did you begin, Del?
It's a great question, man. And thank you for that question. And one of the things that I love, Phil, is that I remember when I first started speaking, I was raised by two very articulate parents. Neither one of them were ever speakers like what we would call, but my father was a deacon in the church. He was a military guy that got shot in the upper back twice in the Vietnam War and left on the battlefield for dead. So my dad actually could have sat back on a government check his whole life, but he decided to one day lead the organization that rehabilitated him. And my dad became the national director for the Paralyzed Veterans Association of America in Arlington, Virginia for over 15 years. And so my dad was always, he was never, he was one of those people that always could just very clearly and concisely speak his message. Has got a big smile and a big heart. And so I got that from dad, and that tenacity to overcome challenges I got from dad. From my mom was a Sunday school teacher and an English teacher. And so my mom, you couldn't be Olivia's son unless you knew how to put two words together. So me and my older brother, Michael, were always in the longest parts in the Easter play, Christmas play. We always had to play Jesus, Moses, Abraham, all these like long. And a lot of people don't know this, but when I was in the 4th and 5th and 6th grade, I had a weakness for reading. So I was put in a classroom full of all at-risk kids. This is a true story. In fact, this story made it all the way to the Joel Osteen stage. Joel Osteen has told my story twice in 2 separate sermons to over 20 million people around the world. And it was because of a 6th grade teacher who, when I was in a room full of all at-risk kids, told me on the first day of class, "You're not a youth at risk, you're a youth at promise." And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, "I'm not just going to teach you this year, I'm going to mentor you." And Miss Diane Williams, who still teaches in Hillsborough County today, became my first mentor. And during recess, I had to sit next to her, and she taught me about life, man. And so she was like, "Hey, if you can memorize New Edition and the Fat Boys and all these other groups, that you can memorize the presidents of the United States." And so she began to start to relabel me and help me understand that I could use my academics in a positive way. And that really began the beginnings of me understanding that one person can make a difference. And from there, man, I went on to junior high and high school, and I got involved in student leadership. And I know we're in a really back to school mode right now, Phil. All the parents, including myself, are sending our kids back to school right now. And dude, I tell you, man, student leadership is where it's at. I tell every parent, if you want your kid to be successful in school and in life, help them become a student leader. So I was a bus patrol. I had the orange, I had all that stuff going on. I'm sure you probably were too, man. But that was the beginning for me. And student leadership really taught me a lot about what it meant to use my gifts and talents in a positive direction. I went to college, and I was fortunate enough to get a bachelor's and master's, 2 degrees in 5 years with a 4.0 and no debt, and had a remarkable collegiate career. And I got involved in becoming an orientation leader. I got rejected from the fraternity that I wanted to pledge, so I was devastated. And so I had a lot of ups and downs in college, but I did do college well. And before Dr. Willie Jolly and Les Brown and Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Dr. Stephen Covey became mentors of mine in my professional career, a no-name guy named Dr. Lee Jones met me when I was a freshman in college. He was 33 at the time. He had a bachelor's, 2 masters, and a PhD. And he was African-American. He wore a suit and a bow tie every day. And Dr. Jones became my first professional mentor. And he inspired me. And I just wanted to be around that guy. He was a speaker, and he was the associate dean for College of Education. And I said, man, this dude's making it happen, and he's young. I want to do whatever it takes to be like Dr. Lee Jones. And so, man, honestly, Phil, it really has just been a journey of me having a lot of hiccups and ups and downs, and meeting people along the way, whether it was Diane Williams or whether it was Dr. Lee Jones or whether it was Zig Ziglar or Willie Jolly or Les Brown, who believed at me at different critical points. And so if you're watching this interview, I want you to ask yourself a question. Who has been inspiring you along the way? Who are the people that have just dropped nuggets of gold in your life to help you understand how incredible you are? And here's the second question, not who are they? That's one. The second question is, did you listen to what they said, and did you run with what they said? Because I believe that, Phil, all of us have had those critical moments in our life where someone's come along to give us that course correcting word of advice or insight that, if we apply it, can change the game, right? So I think for all of us, we've had those moments. And so those are those moments, man. And I'm not good at a lot of things, but the one thing I will say that God gifted me to do, bro, at a young age, was figure out that I had a gift to speak and to communicate and to then go in that direction. And so I listened.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I think that does make you different, right? You talk about communication. Part of that communication is listening. And I think a lot of people forget that, right? Because as a great speaker, a lot of people think, well, it's the eloquence on the platform. But Delatorro, I know you, man. And I know the reason that you're successful is not because you're a self-made man, but because you've listened to other people who are, where you wanted to be and who poured into your life, man. So Dr. Jones, Diane Williams, fantastic stuff. But Zig Ziglar, you got to tell me this, man. How did you meet Zig Ziglar? Because you didn't always live in Dallas, man.
Absolutely. So actually, and this is one of the things that I always tell everybody, I don't care what your dream is. If you're watching this interview and you're learning from Phil Gerbishek and you're learning from Delatorro, put yourself, I'll tell you a secret to success for this guy. He might not ever tell you this, but Phil Gerbishek knows how to put himself around the right people. He knows how to put himself in the environment for success. He came to Tampa not knowing anybody and is about to become the freaking mayor of the city. I mean, I'm joking, but I'm just saying, I mean, he's gotten so connected because he understands that relationships are the new currency of the 21st century, and he builds powerful relationships. And so I met Zig Ziglar because I put myself in the right environment. My mentor, Dr. Willie Jolly, said, listen, I know you have a gift and I know you have a talent, but you need to join NSA. I'm like, Willie, I ain't got no money to go to NSA. He's like, when I went, I didn't have no money. He said, do whatever it takes to get your butt down to Orlando. It's only a 45-minute drive, and go attend the NSA convention. And I'm like, okay, right. So I drive down there. I wasn't registered. I didn't have a lanyard. I didn't have a badge. Phil, I didn't have nothing, man. I just dressed like I belonged, and I walked the lobby. I said, I'm going to walk the lobby for the first day and see if I really even belong here. And in 5 minutes of walking the lobby, I met Zig Ziglar. And the first thing, coming out of the bathroom, and the first thing that I said to Zig Ziglar, after reading all of his books and listening to his audios for years, the most powerful and profound and eloquent thing that I, as a CSP, a potential CSP, I wasn't a CSP at that time, said was, do you realize that you're Zig Ziglar? The dumbest thing on the planet, Phil. I said to Zig Ziglar, do you realize that you're Zig Ziglar? I know, dude, it was the most ignorant thing I could ever say. But he said, well, yes, I do. What's your name, son? And he just gave me a big old hug. And he saw I was just in shock. My knees were shaking. I'm just like, this is Zig Ziglar. He gave me a big hug, introduced me to his wife, the redhead, and it was over. And I'm like, wow. 5 minutes later, I meet Stedman Graham because he was one of the keynote speakers that year. 3 minutes later, I meet Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Les Brown's walking around, Dr. Willie Jolly's walking around. All these Brian Tracy. I'm just like, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all's tapes are in my car. How are you at this association just walking around? And that's the day I fell in love with the National Speakers Association.
That's awesome, man. There's so much there, though. I mean, that's the thing I think folks miss, right? So those are, if you will, those are kind of yesterday's heroes, but today's heroes are there too, and yesterday's heroes still show up. So I got to meet Harvey Mackay this year, which was pretty darn cool.
Wow, man, that's awesome, dude.
Right? Yeah, I mean, and Harvey's just, normal guy. He actually, he was so generous with his time. He, gave us a few minutes because he's actually a good friend of my dear friend, Chris Clark Epstein.
Yes.
So he came, he wasn't coming to talk to me. I'm just going to be real clear, though. He was coming to talk to Chris.
Yes.
And I just happen to be sitting there and being in the presence. But that's the thing. To your point, though, it is about who we surround ourselves with. Because frankly, I probably walked past Harvey a couple of times, and then I screwed up Naomi Rhodey's name. So that was good too. Because I'd like to say that I'm great with people, but sometimes I'm not, right? Yeah. That's just the truth. Sometimes you screw that up. So Del, if people are going to take advantage of mentorship, so give us some ideas on how to best maximize mentorship, because I know that's something you're darn good at, man.
Man, dude, I mean, you're asking some extraordinary questions, Phil. So I appreciate that. And congrats again, man, for having a chance to meet Harvey McKay. Absolutely extraordinary trailblazer in our industry. So that's sensational. I would say a couple of key things, and I think that's a profound question. And I get that question a lot. And actually, I don't get it as often as I wish I did. So I'm so glad you asked it. I wish more people would ask, how do you find and keep phenomenal mentors? Because I think that's one of the keys to success in this industry. I really believe that the speaking industry or the meetings industry or the personal and professional development industry, whatever you call it, is really learned through apprenticeship. I think you really learn it, or let me just say this, you master it through mentorship and apprenticeship. Every time I go to NSA convention and I listen to the Hall of Famers get inducted and I listen to their speech, every one of them thanks their mentors and their mastermind groups. And I think in addition to their families, right? So here's a couple thoughts that I have on mentorship. First of all, realize that everyone, no matter what our industry, no matter what our product or service, we all need a mentor. We all need someone who's been there and done that to help show us how to go there and do that. So first of all, first key is realize that you need one. Don't think that because you're an adult or because of your title or your position or because of your C-suite status or because of your 6-figure or 7-figure status that you don't need a mentor. I think every one of us needs a mentor. So step one is to realize that you need a mentor. Step two, once you realize that you need a mentor, is you got to seek out a mentor. I honestly believe that the mentee needs to seek out the mentor. Realize, be willing to put your title and position aside enough to say, hey, who do I want to go after? And then how do I pursue them? How do I put myself in their space? And sometimes that might be as simple as joining their newsletter. So you're starting to get their email newsletter. Then it's following them on LinkedIn, right? Starting to comment and post on the things that they comment and post about. Then it goes to the next step of going to one of their live events or whatever it is that they do, wherever they show up, right? I'm just saying, speaking as an example, go to their events, right? Show up 2 hours early, stay 2 hours late. That's how I began to start developing mentorship relationships. If there's someone that you admire or respect and they're coming to your city, get there 2 hours early to help their team set up and stay 2 hours later after the crowd leaves, and you will get access. You will get private time with these people. I'm telling you, that's been a secret to my success. I believe that I have a good friend of mine who said this, there's 2 ways to gain access to mentorship, amazing mentors. You can seek to serve or you can pay to play. Write that down. You can either seek to serve everybody or you can pay to play. There's times that I've paid for mentorship, right, by registering for a boot camp or a mastermind or whatever to get in the door. And then once this person saw that I was serious, then they took me under their wing and they didn't ask me for any more money. But I paid to play to get in the beginning. Or you can seek to serve. You can volunteer. You can donate your time, your energy, your effort, your blood, sweat, tears, right? If you have a skill set that this mentor needs, and that's another key. So key number 3 is come into the mentorship relationship expecting to give them something. So many times we come into mentorship relationships and we want to seek, what can I pull? What can I take from this person, right? And while that mentor's job is to pour into you, I think it's also our job to pour back into those that we want to glean from. So it's my job to give back to Les Brown as much as he's given to me, or at least try. Give back to Willie Jolly as much as he's given to me, or at least try, right? Give back to Dr. Covey before he passed, or Zig before he passed, as much as they gave to me, or at least try. So go in with a reciprocatory mindset versus going in with a parasite mindset. I just want to take. And then the last ingredient that I'm going to say, Phil, that's important for retaining a mentor, because you can get a mentor, but to keep a mentor, everyone, please write this down. Never, ever, ever compete with your mentor. Never compete with your mentor, because sometimes what happens is we get a mentor in our life, and then if we start succeeding at the same level as our mentor, we think we're as good as them or better. And I'm a firm believer, Phil, that you should never compete with your mentor. The people that have poured into you, that have sown into you, that have gifted you with their wisdom, with their intellect, always honor them, always have something to say, always have something to encourage them by. And then the final bonus tip is never expose your mentor. When you get close to someone amazing, you're going to see flaws. You're going to see things that are less than ideal. When you get really close to your mentor, you're going to see their human side. Never expose that. Never expose the weakness of your mentor, because what you did is you were given access to a very private part of them, and then you expose it. So never uncover your mentor's weaknesses. I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't tell them where they can get better. Have that in a private conversation, but never publicly, out your mentor. Does that make sense? And I see a lot of people that do that because they get cocky and arrogant on their own success. So those are just a couple of things that I've learned over the years, man. What do you think about those, Phil?
I think those are really good, Del. I wrote those down because they're really important, right? Seeking out a mentor first, I think, is great, right? Pay to play or seek to serve, really good. I like try to give your mentor something. I think a lot of people, to your point, right, they're parasitic instead of symbiotic, right? Because it's really a relationship. It's give and take.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you have something. If you're coming in and you don't really have it, well, be careful with that. And then to keep a mentor, never, ever compete. I like that, right? Honor them, encourage them, and then don't expose. Yeah. I think really, really important. Really important stuff. So Lisa Demi asked, so has that happened to you? Like, has someone that you mentored, have they betrayed you, or is that just something that you've learned as a result of the people that you've mentored or been mentored by?
You know what? I mean, I have had people who have mentored I've had people who have mentored compete with me. I've never had people who have mentored like expose me or any of those things. So I'm saying that more from that's how I treat my mentors. That's how I treat, Dr. Jolly, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar. I mean, all these, Dr. Lee Jones. I mean, even when I saw flaws or I saw areas where, I never shared that with the world. That was a private moment that I was fortunate enough to see, and I was able to cover them or whisper in their ear, hey, I think your slip's hanging here. This might be something you want to address or whatever. But I just think that's good etiquette. It's scriptural. It's biblical that when you get that close to someone, don't expose what you're privy to learn. And I just think that that's a good professional courtesy to extend to someone, especially who's pouring so much into you. You would not be where you are. The truth is, all of us are turtles on a fence post. Write that down. Every one of us are turtles on a fence post. If you and I were going down a country road, Phil, and we see a turtle sit on a fence post, first thing we're going to think is, man, what is that turtle doing there? Second thing we're going to say is, how did it get there? And the third thing we're going to realize is that there's no way that turtle could have got there by itself. None of us in this industry could have gotten where we are by ourselves. Someone at some level picked us up and helped us get to a better place. And so I firmly believe that when someone helps you get to a better place, you don't repay that with exposing them.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. And Lisa says she's got it now, so that's really good.
Yay, Lisa!
Yeah. So Tammy Saunders Lanham says that she loves you, Del. She's delighted that you're here. Hey, Tammy.
Hey, Tammy. What's up, sweetie?
Too. So that's cool. So Del. So now that we've kind of set the mindset and the foundation, let's talk about the actual performance, because I think that's important, right? Let's talk about Platinum Presentations. This is your latest book. Really good stuff, man. You gave this to me. We're having a cup of coffee the last time you're in Tampa. You give me this book, and like in a day, I'm like, okay, I'm done. So you sent before the interview. I hope you had a chance to read a couple chapters. Yeah, thanks, Del. I appreciate that, man. Really. So, yeah, come on, bro. Get over it. Get out of here, Brian. So I read your book, and I enjoyed your book a lot, man. You got a lot of good stuff. So let's talk first about some of the preparation that speakers can do, right? Let's talk about that. And let's talk about number 13 here, be big picture. Talk about that. Think about how your presentation fits into the entire event.
So thanks so much, Phil. I appreciate it. This is book number 7 for us, man. And I'm so incredibly excited about Platinum Presentations. And everybody who's watching, you can go to platinumpresentationsbook.com. That's platinumpresentationsbook.com to pick up your copy. We're getting rave reviews all over the country, man, for this book, which I'm really excited about, Phil. And last year, so the impetus for the book really quickly, and I'm going to jump on number 13. But the impetus for the book was last year, Warren Buffett went on record, Phil, as saying that public speaking was the most important business skill that he ever developed. And I was like, whoa, and then he said, I make all of my top business students go through a Toastmasters course to work on their presentation skills. And so when he said that, it helped me realize, I said, man, I've never written a book about my skill. I've written a book about career transition. I've written books about overcoming adversity. I've written a book about peak performance, but about what I talk about, but I've never written about the skill that I use. So I said, let me write a book about presentation skills. And I said, because like you said earlier, Phil, I've taught at the university level. I've given tons of speeches, paid talks around the world, and MDRT and Toastmasters World Convention. I've learned a lot. So let me distill what I know into 52 principles that will help people speak with confidence, win their audience, and grow their bank account. And what I did was I broke down the 52 into like 17 things to be before your next presentation, another 18 things to be during your next presentation, and about 16 things to be after your next presentation. So in the preparation of your next presentation, number 13 is all about being big picture. And what I mean by that is I think all of us need to go into our next presentation understanding that we are not the only element of the presentation. As a professional speaker, you got to understand you are part of a big wheel. You're a cog in a big wheel. You are a nut in a big, you know what I'm saying? You're one apple in a big forest. Your portion of the meeting is one piece of an entire convention, right? So we have to be big picture as we prepare for our presentation by including things into our presentation that helps the meeting planner as well as the audience understand the totality of the meeting that they're getting ready to experience. So if you want to be a great platinum presentations speaker, you need to incorporate things that's going to happen to the audience later. So in my talk, I always say stuff like, man, I can't wait for you guys to get to the breakout sessions after this. There's so many incredible learnings that you're going to have there. And then later on tonight, we're going to have the wonderful mixer with the president. That's going to be fun. And tomorrow so I give the audience little bits and pieces of things to expect as they move throughout the convention. And the reason why I do that, and the client doesn't ask me to do it, but I do it to be big picture. I do it to help the client understand I don't just care about what's happening in this hour. I want your entire 3 days to be awesome. And when a client understands that you care about their entire convention and not just your one talk, you are being big picture and you will be remembered and you will be rebooked.
Dude. That's good, Del. That's a good tip, man. That's a really, really good tip. So working in what else is going on to get people excited about the whole event, not just your little sliver of that. Really, really great tips. And I think that plays right back into tip 4 that you give. And I'd love for you to expand on this one about being other focused instead of just being self-focused, right?
Holy smokes. Okay, so how many of y'all right now, I know you guys are watching this, and I want you all to make this interactive. Phil's here, I'm here, so we want you to comment. How many of you all have ever experienced a speaker where you're like, what the heck does that story have anything to do with me? If you've ever experienced a speaker, you were listening to that speaker and you're listening to them tell a story, or they were in an anecdote, or they were using a metaphor, an analogy, and you leaned over to somebody and said, what the heck does that have anything to do with me? If you've ever asked that what the heck question, then I want you to put that comment in there because I think it's so important. And the reason why we ask those what the heck questions of the people that are around us is because that speaker was not others focused. The truth is, my friend, your presentation is not about you, okay? Your presentation is not about you. I say this all the time. An apple tree does not eat its own apples. Good God, have mercy. I'm going to say that again. When was the last time you saw an apple tree eat its own apples? It doesn't. The fruit that falls off of an apple tree was meant to benefit other people, not the tree, which means that your gift is not about you. It's about the people that you're there to impact, the people that you're there to touch. You have to build a presentation that is others focused. So one of the most important things that you need to do is realize it's not about me. It's not about my degrees, my credentials, my pedigree, my outfit, my PowerPoint. It's not about, I know you're being marketed. I know you're being branded. I know your face is being promoted. but it's not about you. It's about the audience. It's about what they need. It's a love affair between what your audience wants, what your audience needs, and what your client expects you to deliver. What your audience wants, what your audience needs, and what your client is expecting for you to deliver. And I want you to build a brand of over delivering on all three of those things. When you get yourself off of you and your brand and how amazing you are and how great you look, and you focus on the audience and what they need, you develop a skill set that I make my teachers, my students learn, which is called rhetorical sensitivity. Rhetorical sensitivity means it's not about my slides. It's about being present for that audience in the moment. And when I'm present with that audience in the moment, I might not get to the last 6 slides, but I spent a little bit more time on this slide because I needed to dig a little bit deeper and really uncover some stuff. Phil, have you ever been digging a hole in your backyard and your shovel hits a rock and you're like, dang, and you hit that rock again and you hit it again, you're like, dang. And then you got to, sometimes in our audiences, we share a point or a principle and it doesn't land the way we thought, or it does. And it's like, ooh, and have you ever been getting a massage and that masseuse hits that knot in your back and it hurts, but it feels good. And you don't want them to go away. You want them to massage that knot out. We hit knots in our audiences all the time. And being others focused means it's not about just trying to get through all your slides. It's about finding where the knots are in your audience and massaging those knots out until they get relief. And that's what being others focused is all about, man. What do you think, Phil?
Well, I totally feel, and I totally feel that. And that's the goal. I always overestimate how many slides I might need. Yeah. Because you never know, right? I mean, sometimes audiences, nothing lands, right? Sometimes you talk to a group of folks and it's just not their night, or maybe it lands and they land quietly, and that's okay too. So putting that focus on them instead of me, right? I call it looking people in the eyes.
Yes.
Right? I look each person in the eyes and what do you need tonight? How can I best serve you? And I think that's really, really important. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I do the podcast. Yes. Why I do this, right? Is I want to serve others and help them see that hey, there's a big world out there. A lot of people you could choose from to learn from. So yeah. I like that tip, Del. That's really strong, man.
And that's very true of you. And you have extraordinary eye contact. And I love that about you. And even when you wear the glasses, you'll pull them down to make sure that person, you'll be like, boom. I'm like, okay, when Phil pulls that glass down with that one, when he pulls it down with that one finger, you are in trouble, okay? Because he is intently trying to get you to understand something. So I love that about you, bro. But you're exactly right, man. That's what it's all about. It's about, I think our audiences really want our presence more than they want our stage gymnastics. And I think the more we can be present with them and say, I know that hit a nerve. I'm going to unpack that a little bit more. I'm going to sit on that for a minute because I really think you need to get that. Because you might think you're coming in to talk about productivity and you might realize in the moment that the audience is dealing with fear or self-sabotage. And so you need to massage that knot out a little bit more instead of trying to get to point number 7 in your slides. That's just what I believe. I think that's the mark of a professional. What do you guys think? What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. The goal is to be so good at your material that if you do sense the audience, that you're able to pivot just a little bit. Yeah. Not completely off topic, right? Don't go talking about politics or something stupid like that, right? But a little pivot in this another area of great depth, I think, is important. And we've got, a couple folks here that totally agree. Lisa Demi says, yes, haha. Ira B. Funderburk, more often than I liked. People with those points. Yep. And Tammy says, amen, Delatorro. So that's good. That's good. She loves your stage gymnastics, which really gets us kind of in the middle of the talk here, Delatorro. This is the thing that you just nail me every time that I hear you, and that is during the program. Yeah. You even now, man, you're hitting us with number 28 here. Be punchy. I mean, phrases, tweetables, one-liners, power thoughts. Every single time. So Del, talk about that, and then help us understand how we can do that for ourselves, because it's one thing to say, okay, well, create tweetable stuff. But it's another thing to unpack how to actually do that. So go after it, buddy.
Chill bumps, bro. Chill bumps, man. Profound question. Thank you for asking. I started my career. My mom gave me a gift. My mom died 5 years ago, so I talk about her in every speech. She was my best friend, way more than a parent. She was a mentor and a coach. And so one of the greatest things my mom gave me when I was probably 12, 13 years old. She started buying me quote books, Phil. I was never one to read a lot of novels in school. I wasn't the one to read The Tale of the Two Cities or the Celestine Prophecy. I didn't like those kind of books. I like books that told me about life and told me what the heck to do. So personal development, really meant a lot to me, right? But my mom bought me quote books early. And so I'd read a quote book that had 100 quotes in it. And as I would walk up to the bus stop every day, I would take a quote and I would read the quote, and then I would practice. I didn't know anything about table topics and Toastmasters. I'm 13, but I would practice expounding on what that quote meant. And so I began, before I ever became a speaker, I began working on my ability to present by learning how to expound on short statements. And so long before social media ever existed, I built my entire business and brand before social media existed. I remember, but I earned my CSP in 2013. At the height of my CSP application process, the only thing that was out was MySpace. MySpace, dude. So I'm like, holy smokes. So Facebook was there, but it was like MySpace and there was Facebook, and that was it. There was no Snapchat, there was no Instagram, none of that was there. So I say all that to say now it's easy for me to be punchy because I was groomed to be punchy and quick because I studied quote books. So here's what I was going to suggest for every one of you all out there. I want to encourage you to do several things. First of all, practice getting your point across in 30 seconds or less. Social media has forever changed humanity's attention span. There are studies that even say that our attention span is shorter than a goldfish now. So it's so important that we say it faster. Get to the point by asking yourself this question: how can I say this in 30 seconds or less? How can I say it in 30 seconds or less? And really pull out your phone, pull out your stopwatch and say, okay, I got to get this point across, but I need to say it in 30 seconds or less. And really say, okay, how can I teach a point in 30 seconds or less? Because at the end of the day, people are going to remember those small tweetable, quotable moments. At the end of the day, that's what they're going to put on Twitter. That's what they're going to put on LinkedIn. That's what they're going to create a photo quote around. So how can you if you take your whole hour speech, I'm going to challenge you to sit on the next flight. If you get a next flight delay, but instead of just complaining about your flight being delayed, take your speech apart and say, if I had to create 20 one-liners from this speech, what would those 20 one-liners be? Then write those out and give them to your team and say, okay, my speech is at 4:00. So if my speech is at 4:00, once you guys see me live on stage, tell your social media team to start tweeting out your one-liners. And now all of a sudden they can share those. They can be hashtagged to the conference, and you're not even doing it. Your team's doing it for you. They put it in Hootsuite or TweetDeck or whatever's the popular aggregator is, and it's being sent out to all your platforms. At the end of the day, you want to take your speech and begin to say, what are the key points? What are the things that people are going to highlight in what I'm saying? And the more you can begin to start to do that and then share that with your team and let them create photo quotes around it, you're going to start getting more punchy. You're going to start getting more tweetable. Remember, the media likes quick, punchy, to the point. 9 times out of 10, your 4-minute segment on some news station is going to get preempted down to 2 minutes. So going on the news media thinking that you're going to have 4 minutes to really express what your book is about is a big over assumption. You got to say, okay, if I had to talk about my book in 2 minutes, what would I say? If I had to talk about it in 30 seconds, what would I say? So I want all of you all to really begin. Dr. Shirley Davis, hello, right? We were raised under the Les Browns of the world Les can say in one sentence what most people can't say in a day, right? So how can you take your content and how can you take your principles and really boil them down to 30-second bites, 30-second bites? I think that's where the magic is. That's where the media is. That's where the meat is. And that's what people are really going to remember.
Yeah. Well, and along that point, Del, that means about rehearsal, right? You got to rehearse those lines. Get really good at those. This is not just all delivery. This is also, you need to decide that you're going to do that and then rehearse the heck out of it so it doesn't sound stilted. So you put the right emphasis on the right syllables, right? You got to do that. So people get what you're saying. Because it makes a big difference. If you're going in for the punchline and you trip over the 6th word, it's not a punchline anymore, except for making fun of you.
That's right.
So you need to be really clear about those points and write them up and even think about, put them on your slides for yourself after you say them, though. Not before, after you say them, so that you don't give away your punchline.
And see, what you just said was something so powerful, Phil. And I say this, I've been saying this for years, and I teach my speakers this when they come through my Crush the Stage program. I say this: never practice during a performance. Everybody, please write that down. Somebody type that in. Never practice during a performance. The truth is, if between the time you got the call for the gig and the time you delivered the gig, you didn't sit somewhere and really practice click through your slides, practice through, walk around your home, go out to a big open empty field. When I did the $1 Million Roundtable, I had never done 10,000 people from 80 countries. So I didn't practice for the $1 Million Roundtable in my bedroom, Phil. I didn't practice for the $1 Million Roundtable in my driveway or in the shower because that was too small of a space. You know what I did? I went out to a big open field where there was nothing but grass. And I practiced in front of a massive field to give my body what it was going to need to be able to carry that big of a stage, because it was a wide stage and it was a deep audience at the New Orleans Convention Center. And I said, I've got to use everything in my body to connect with person in row 742, 33 seats in. Don't practice during a performance. So the reason why it landed so well, and they rebooked me in the same year, Phil, you know how hard it is to get on the main they vet 600 speakers from around the world for 17 spots on the main platform of the $1 Million Roundtable. And when you get one spot, 9 times out of 10, you get used once. I got rebooked for the $1 Million Roundtable the same year for a second time because I didn't practice during a performance. I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm saying that to impress upon everyone that's watching a principle. Never practice during a performance. I'm telling you, the stakes are too high during the performance. So that's why you need to practice Toastmasters. Come to Crush the Stage so I can work with you. Find someone, go to a meetup group. If you're a member of NSA, join the academy so you can get some practice there. But find a way to practice so that when you're on stage and you're getting paid, or even if you're not getting paid, deliver like a pro. I love something that my mentor, Dr. Willie Jolly, says. He says, speak like a pro, but market like you're brand new. He says, speak like a pro, but market like you're brand new. And I think that that's so, so important, Phil. What do you think, bro? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, totally, right? The better you are on stage, first of all, the more people are going to love you. So you got to practice, you got to rehearse, you got to get really good. Don't practice on stage at the performance. Makes so much sense. And then, you got to market your face off, because there's a lot of people out there. I don't care how big you are. Del, you probably got what, 30, 40, 500,000 followers on Twitter now. I mean, come on, man. Even so, you're still working it.
Still grinding.
And that's the thing, right? You still got to grind, because just because you got so many people means there's still a ton more. I mean, let's say 1 million followers on Twitter. Yeah. That's still not even 1% of the possible network on Twitter.
Jesus, have mercy, dude. Phil, that's sick, bro. And I love something that Danny Johnson says. She says, always be recruiting. She says, no matter how great the greatest player is in the NFL, every coach is always recruiting. And so the lesson is, we've got to constantly be marketing and promoting who we are. And just like Dr. Shirley Davis is talking about, we got to remember to speak like a pro, but continue to market like nobody knows our name. Why? Because there's always somebody brand new that's never heard of you. There's always, and that's why, watch this. This is another tip, has nothing to do with the book and everything at the same time. Always emotionally, write this down, everyone. Always emotionally reconnect to your story. If you can tell me, the chill bumps, if you can tell me your story the same way, the same cadence, the same diction, the same articulation, the same body movements, the exact same way every time, you have emotionally disconnected from your story. And you're just basically regurgitating it. And your audience can tell, and more importantly, pros can tell. But if you really want that, there's a reason why Les Brown can tell to this day. His stories haven't changed. I love him. He's one of my greatest friends. But Les's story hasn't changed. Born on an abandoned building on a floor, twin brother, et cetera, no college training. But he reconnects to that story, and he's telling you about him being on that floor, and you feel like you're on the floor with him in the moment. Emotionally reconnect to your stories, because what comes from the heart reaches the heart, but intellect doesn't reach the heart. That's one of the big things I'm into, dude. I want to touch my audience's heart first. And if I can touch you at the heart level, I can shift your brain in seconds. But if we have an intellectual battle first, you know what I'm saying, over theory and over ideology, I haven't even had a chance to reach you yet. You can't scale a fish until you catch it. Anyway, you know what I'm saying, Phil? I'm just saying, dude.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's so interesting that you would say that heart connection, because often as speakers, we're not as vulnerable as we could be. We're
Mm,
not as real as we could be. We're
yeah.
so rehearsed.
Mm.
We practice those motions. Oh, at this point, I'm going to raise my hand. Get out of here. That's not what this is about, folks.
Yes,
When we
sir.
say rehearse, we're saying rehearse to the point where you feel comfortable that what you feel comes out of your soul, not that it is just practiced. Oh, yep. At this point, I raise my left hand and
Yeah.
I say testify. Get
Yeah.
out of here,
Get out
right?
of here.
That is not what we're talking about. So, emotionally reconnect. Great point, Delatorro. We've got some more forks here. Howard Shapiro's loving the advice here. So, thank you, Howie, for being here, buddy. So, let's go one more during, and then we're going to shift into after, because Del, we could talk all day, man, but we know people don't have that much time, but we're going to talk more, offline. So,
Yes, sir. Yes,
um,
sir.
so so let's flip that over, right? We talked about connecting with the heart, but one that I think a lot of people forget, because heart is important.
Yeah.
But action really matters. And number 32, Del, on page 80, right? I'm looking at the book now, got this sucker bookmark. Be actionable. People want content. They can, here's a word for you, implement immediately. And I'll just tell you, Del, this year at NSA at Central Florida, our afternoons are business implementation labs, doing the work so folks can actually make a difference. So tell
Wow.
me about actionable, Del, and how you work that into your programs,
Well,
please.
first of all, let me tell anybody who is even remotely close to Florida, if you are in Florida or if you're around the state of Florida, you better jump on a plane, train, or automobile and get to NSA Central Florida. I am so remarkably proud of my home chapter, because that's the chapter that I joined when I first became a speaker. And so Tampa's always going to be my home. My daughters are here, my dad's here, my brother's here. So Florida's always going to be home for me, even though I'm living in Dallas-Fort Worth at the time. But I love the NSA Central Florida chapter, and they have remarkable leadership. Dr. Shirley Davis is on the board, not only for the Central Florida chapter, but also the national board. I mean, we got Barry Banther, we got Phil Gerbishek, we got Andy Masters. We got extraordinary people that are helping to lead the NSA Central Florida chapter. So if you're in Florida and you're serious about speaking, join the Central Florida. Phil didn't ask me to say that. I'm telling you that because you got to put yourself in the right place at the right time. So I just demonstrated for you all what a call to action is. I just demonstrated for you all just now what creating actionable content is, right? Actionable content is something that someone can listen to, and inside the information is an instruction for next steps. And one of the things that I believe is so important for us to do is to really go back through our content and say, listen, at what point are we telling someone to do something? Are we telling them to take an action that's going to move them forward? Trust me, if how-tos were enough, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. But the truth is, the reason why everybody's not skinny, rich, and happy is because how-tos are simply not enough. I can Google a how-to, but what's going to make me take action to change and transform is hearing your story, hearing your message, and hearing how you took action at the certain time. See, what inspires me to stop sleeping in my car is not the fact that Tony slept in his car, but the fact that Tony Robbins slept in his car and got out by selling his way out, by selling Jim Rohn seminars. That's what inspires me. So if Tony says, hey, listen, I don't care if you're about to get evicted from your house or if you're sleeping in your car right now, whose tickets can you sell to get yourself out of that situation? That's actionable content. What do you need to do? Don't just tell me, social media is a good thing. No, what do I need to do on social media? How do I need to conduct myself on social media? Don't just tell me that cryptocurrency is awesome. Why is it awesome? Don't just tell me that blockchain is great. What makes it great, and why should I get involved? And when should I get my money, make my money, and get the hell out before I lose my shirt? Be actionable. Give people stuff that they need to know so that they can literally, when I say in the moment, I mean, I'm the kind of person where if I talk about relationships or friendships, I might say to an audience right now, I want you to look in your phone, and the 5 closest people that you text the most, you're going to earn within 5 to 10 grand of your 5 closest friends. Are you okay with with earning within 5 to 10 grand of the 5 people that you text the most? If you don't like that, then you need to change who you're texting. See, that's actionable content. I could have said, Ladies and gentlemen, it's so important that we surround ourselves with good quality people and build quality relationships, because that's what makes business grow. There's no action in that. But when I say pull out your phone and tell me the last 5 people you text, and ask yourself, do you want to earn within 5 to 10 grand of those people? All of a sudden, it makes you really evaluate where you're investing your time. Now, I'm not saying that you take it in context. I'm not saying you can't text friends who don't make as much money as you, because I want to be around quality, genuine friends, period. But my point is, actionable content annoys people until they do something. And I think there's a difference between being motivational and being irritational. And your content should bother your audience enough to freaking change.
Woohoo! Reverend Dell, preach on, man. That's good, brother. That is good stuff. So cool. So, folks, hopefully you got little tips there to rock your presentation, to deliver the good stuff. If we look at this, right, Platinum Presentations, 52 tips. Dell just gave us 2 from before and 2 from during. So, Dell, we're going to hit a couple now, brother, that are after, and then we're going to kind of wrap this up.
Sounds great.
So now I'm going to ask you to do actually number 43, and that is to be quick, Dell. I want you to be quick. Tell me how tons of people who want to talk to you, how do you just take a few seconds with each person? I mean, Dell, we were at NSA Ohio, man. The whole audience was there for you. I got 3 people, though. I got business cards, man. It worked for me too. So how did you do that, man? How do you be quick with everyone?
I think it's so important. You're one person, and you might have spoke to 200 people, 2,000 people, 20,000 people, right? You have to be as quick as possible because everybody wants to meet you. So take 15 to 20 seconds with each person and say, hey, great to meet you. Thanks so much. And call them by their name if they got a name badge on. Thanks, Lisa, so much. It was such an honor to meet you today. Can't wait to get this book in your hand. Let me sign it for you. We'll take selfies afterwards. Hey, John, great to meet you. What did you get out of today's presentation? Oh, man, that was a great point. Hey, Jennifer, thank you so much. You've got to be quick. You got to understand this is a long line, and person number 45 in the line deserves to shake your hand and take a selfie just as much as person number 3, right? They can't help the fact that they're sitting where they're sitting in some arena. So you want to be quick and get to as many people as possible. Everybody's going to have a long story to tell you. You don't have time to hear it. Everybody's going to have a story about their grandmother. You don't have time to hear that either. And you don't have time. Listen, let's make money for a second. If you're trying to sell products and resources and enroll people into programs, do business first, do coaching second. All right. And then when you do all this free coaching, get people in a half moon semicircle and give them resources and give them next steps. Footnote, let me put some money in your pocket. Never only recommend your own stuff. Make sure that you recommend stuff that you have, as well as recommend stuff that other people have. If you're a wellness speaker and you're selling your own probiotics at the back table, sell your own probiotics, and then also recommend that they get some fish oil from GNC. The reason why you do that is because you want to become a trusted source. Everything you do in your presentation is growing your know, like, and trust factor. If all you do is sell your stuff, then people think that you're just a salesman. But if you say, listen, I want you to get my stuff and a few other things, that means that you care about the overall growth of the person. But you got to be quick, and you got to get to the point, and you got to keep your line moving.
Yeah, love that. So Shirley says, love that. Never only recommend your own stuff.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Shirley.
That's
love
really
you.
Good. Yeah.
Woo-hoo, in Atlanta.
Yeah, today she's in Atlanta, man, but she's here with us in Florida, which we're really lucky, man. We're pretty fortunate to have Shirley and Lisa Dammy, Johnny Ray's here. Kelly Charles Collins says hello, Dell.
Hey, Kelly, what's up?
Fans, brother.
Book is out. Woo-hoo. I love it.
Yeah. Her book just came out. Congratulations, Kelly. That's really cool. So Dell, it would only be fitting to close on this one, and that is number 49, baby. Be gone. So talk to us about that one. That's how Dave always talks, right? Our buddy Dave Kaufman. Yes. Dave always talks like that, right? Be gone. So what does that mean, Dell?
I was listening to Denzel Washington, and he was giving some advice to actors, and he said you shouldn't take every acting role because the audience needs to miss you. He said when your movies come out, people need to be jumping over themselves to go see your movie. He said don't be over accessible. And I think that's brilliant. I think the best actors aren't in every single movie. You know what I'm saying? And he's at the top of his game, right? So the point is, if you are a high dollar speaker and you charge 5, 10, 15 grand, 20 grand an hour, why are you spending 8 hours at the event after you're done? that doesn't make sense. I mean, I could see spending an hour and a half, but my mentor taught me the importance of really, first of all, you need to go back to your room and recharge, right? Anyway, but I think it's important that you do an amazing job and then you be gone. You disappear. Why? Because you need to recharge. You need to connect with your family. You need to connect with your friends. But I think there needs to be a little bit of mystery. You need to train your audience that, listen, your time is valuable, because everything that we do every day trains people how to treat us. And people will disrespect your time if you disrespect your time. And if you're just lollygagging all over the place, first of all, it takes your reputation down. And so I think it's really important that, and I'm not saying be a prima donna, because I'm the biggest person. I get there 2 hours early, I stay 2 hours late. But I do believe once you've done an amazing job, you need to leave that audience on a high, and you need to leave the impression in their mind at the same level that you set it at. Does that make sense? Like, even for me, I don't travel in suits, but I'm not going to change into my jumpsuit, my sports jumpsuit or my Adidas jumpsuit at the hotel I just spoke at. I'll wait until I get back to the airport, and I'll go to the airport bathroom and I'll change into my Adidas jumpsuit to fly home, right? Does that make sense? But I'm going to leave those people at that convention center with that impression that they had there, because that impression might be the only thing that pulls them out of depression one night. That impression might be the only thing that makes them believe that they can do it when their spouse doesn't even support them. So I think it's important for us to keep that level of, I mean, I've seen Tony Robbins deliver on stage for 20 hours straight and then collapse backstage, but you don't see that part, right? So you know what I'm saying? I think it's important that we do our thing, kick butt and take names, and when it's time to bounce, be gone so that people can miss you.
Awesome. Well, some people don't want to miss, Del, is a copy of your book, man. Platinum Presentations, fantastic stuff. For everybody watching this here, you go to platinumpresentationsbook.com. You can get a copy of Del's book. Now, Del didn't ask me to do this, but I want you guys to know, if this book sucks for you, you need to come talk to me, and I'll be happy to give you your $20 back. Because it's awesome. It's not just me, but Dr. Shirley Davis says Del's book is the perfect read. She read it on the way to Singapore this spring and learned some extra great quick tips. Speaking made simple. You must get your copy. Now, here's the thing. It's not hard to do. You can go, again, platinumpresentationsbook.com, get a copy. It's 52 tips. I mean, here. So this is not hard. I'm just going to open it up. You got words and you got notes, right? That's it, folks. This is really not that hard. So I encourage you, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. If you want to speak, you want to make more money, Delatorro is awesome. He gives so much of this to people. He's got a lot of great stuff. But at this point, I would just encourage you, just go to platinumpresentationsbook.com. Get a copy of the book for you. Invest in you, folks, because you're worth it. Now, Del, I'm going to leave you with the last word. What's one thing one more action people can do besides obviously buying your book to really take advantage and take things to the next level?
Okay, so make sure you pick up a copy of the book. You'll absolutely love it. And if you're seriously serious about really catapulting your speaking skills, I would love to work with you. I have a program that I do once a quarter that's been endorsed by both the National Speakers Association and Toastmasters International. It's called Crush the Stage. It's my 3-day deep dive, deep expert level presentation skills program. It's been endorsed by Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Dr. Willie Jolly, and so many other amazing speakers. And I do it once a quarter, and you can learn more about it by going to crushthestagelive.com. That's crushthestagelive.com. I work with 8 students at a time, and over the course of 3 days, I make you speak 7 times, and I literally teach you a 12-step blueprint for platform mastery. And so we do them once a quarter, and it's an absolutely extraordinary experience. You can learn all about it at crushthestagelive.com, and I would love to work with you for 3 days directly to literally burn these principles into your mind and heart, and then make you get on stage and show me that you know how to execute them. And I make you start over, and I make you laugh, and I make you cry, but you do it in a safe space so that you get better faster. And that's what it's all about. So thanks so much, Phil. And the other thing I'm going to say about the book that I love is that the book is very reflective. Here's what that means. Every principle I teach you, I make you then take notes about how you can apply that principle to your next talk. So if you're ready to take action on really growing your presentation so you don't put glaze on stale donuts, pick up a copy of this book and then take it a step further and come work with me live.
Awesome. Thanks, Del. So lots of good stuff today, folks. PlatinumPresentationsBook.com. The new book, 52 Awesome Tips. And if you really want to push it up a whole nother level, Crush the Stage Live. I've been there to judge the final speakers. It's fantastic. Yeah. So you forgot that, Del. So I've been there, man.
I didn't forget. I remember, brother.
Yeah, buddy. So check it out, folks. Last words here for you is take some action. Yeah. Invest in yourself. You are worth it, folks. This little book here, $21.99. Likely going to go on sale, be cheaper than that, but do it and then do the darn work, right? So take a look, folks. This is nothing hard, but it is nothing easy. So you're worth it, folks. I hope to see you again another time. Delatorro, I love you, man. Thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you.
I'll see everybody again soon. So glad you're here today with us, having a conversation. Take care of yourself. Woo-hoo. Make it a great day. And we will be dead in just a couple minutes, or at least we'll go off. Shirley, Ira, Lisa, Howie, everybody.